Welcome back, guys and gals, brothers and sisters. We are on Deuteronomy chapter 14 today. And I mentioned when we started the book of Deuteronomy that the book is somewhat of a summary of the first 4 books of the Bible. And today we're going to take a look back at the dietary laws that were put into place during the book of Leviticus. All right, verse 1. You are the sons of the Lord your God. You shall not cut yourselves nor shave your forehead for the sake of the dead, which were practices of mourning in the pagan areas around them. Verse 2, for you are a holy people to the Lord your God, and the Lord has chosen you to be a people for his own possession out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth. You shall not eat any detestable thing. These are the animals which you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roebuck, which was a type of a deer, the wild goat, the ibex, which was a wild goat with really long horns, the antelope, and the mountain sheep, which, so all these are kind of an extension of what we read in Leviticus chapter 11. Verse 6, any animal that divides the hoof and has the hoof split in two and chews the cud among the animals, that you may eat. And a reminder that chewing the cud meant basically re-eating regurgitated grass or whatever. It's very lovely. Verse 7, nevertheless, you are not to eat of these among those which chew the cud, or among those that divide the hoof in two: the camel and the rabbit and the shafan, which was kind of a guinea pig. For though they chew the cud, they do not divide the hoof. They are unclean for you. The pig, because it divides the hoof, does not chew the cud. It is unclean for you. You shall not eat any of their flesh, nor touch their carcasses. These you may eat of all that are in water. Anything that has fins and scales you may eat. But anything that does not have fins and scales you shall not eat. It is unclean for you. All right, so let's pause real quick and do a little rehash. And remember that the whole world in Moses' time was idolatrous, with each nation believing in many deities, which was one of the main reasons that ceremonial laws were put in place to begin with. The forbidding of eating certain foods distinguished between what would later be termed Jew and Gentile. The dietary restrictions further indicated that Israel was a separate nation and a chosen people. So saying no to eating certain foods and other practices of the pagans helped the Israelites to break free from idolatry. Verse 11, you may eat any clean bird, but these are the ones which you shall not eat: the eagle, absolutely not, and the vulture and the buzzard, and the red kite, the falcon, and the kite in their kinds, and every raven in its kind, and the ostrich, the owl, the seagull, and the hawk in their kinds, the little owl, the great owl, the white owl, the pelican, the carrion vulture, the cormorant, the stork, and the heron in their kinds, and the hoopoe, and the bat. And all the teeming life with wings are unclean to you. They shall not be eaten. You may eat any clean bird. You shall not eat anything which dies of itself. You may give it to the alien who is in your town, so that he may eat it, or you may sell it to a foreigner, for you are a holy people to the Lord your God. You shall not boil a young goat in its mother's milk. And that reflected a common practice in the Canaanite religions around them, which was superstitiously observed, hoping that fertility and productivity would be increased by boiling a young goat in its mother's milk. I know, pretty sick and wrong. Okay, verse 22. You shall surely tithe all the produce from which you sow, which comes out of the field every year. You shall eat in the presence of the Lord your God, at the place where he chooses to establish his name, the tithe of your grain, your new wine, your oil, and the firstborn of your herd and your flock, so that you may learn to fear the Lord your God always. If the distance is so great for you that you are not able to bring the tithe, since the place where the Lord your God chooses to set his name is too far away from you when the Lord your God blesses you, then you shall exchange it for money, and bind the money in your hand, and go to the place which the Lord your God chooses. You may spend the money for whatever your heart desires, for oxen or sheep or wine or strong drink or whatever your heart desires. And there you shall eat in the presence of the Lord your God and rejoice, you and your household. Also you shall not neglect the Levite who is in your town, for he has no portion or inheritance among you. At the end of every 3rd year you shall bring out all the tithe of your produce in that year, and shall deposit it in your town. The Levite, because he has no portion or inheritance among you, and the alien, the orphan and the widow who are in your town, shall come and eat and be satisfied, in order that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hand which you do. So in following the law, at the end of every 3rd year, in year 3 and year 6 of the 7-year sabbatical cycle, rather than taking this tithe to the central sanctuary, it was instead stored up within the individual cities in the land. This tithe was used to feed the Levites, the orphan, the widow, and the stranger who lived with the Israelites. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Hope to see you tomorrow. God bless you. Take care.